welcome to today's class. So it's the 4th of the 5th today. May the 4th be with you. So today we are heading back into Agamemnon territory. So hopefully you've got your your Agamemnon with you. Like I said, if you need a copy of Agamemnon because you can't find yours in the state of your bedroom, then that's fine. Send me an email and I will send you a link to be able to get an online version. Otherwise, it will be able to be found in your Oresteia. So we are going from line 460, which is page, let me have a look, it is page 120, so from page 120, and it's about a third of the way down. So we're going from there. Now, what we've had so far is the watchman's come out and said, hey, looks like Argos has won, Agamemnon's coming home, Troy has been destroyed, I've seen the light, and we're coming home, it's going to be great. And he tells Clytemnestra, queen of Argos, who's waiting for Agamemnon, her husband, to come home. And she's excited that he's coming home. And the chorus is kind of, at first they don't believe that she's seen what she's seen. They kind of don't believe her. She gets really annoyed that they don't believe her, which, like, fair cop. Like, don't doubt me, Meg. Like, come on. So she gets kind of annoyed at them and just like goes back into the castle, and she's just like, I don't need you, I'm a queen, take that. And then the chorus spend quite a bit of time, I guess, giving us the background to the War of Troy, and then they also give us background about Agamemnon's daughter, Ephesius, who has been sacrificed in order for Agamemnon's troops to get to Troy, and that Clytemnestra, pretty angry about that. I mean, it's been 10 years. She still hasn't let it go, which, you know what, if I was Ephesius, I'd probably feel the same way, and I'd be like, you know, Mum, don't just like push that under the rug, be angry about it. So, you know, fair. They've also talked about how, like, since Agamemnon's been gone, that Argos, the city of Argos, has kind of fallen a bit into disrepair, that they haven't had the same kind of protection, which makes sense because basically any man who could fight went off to Troy. And so Argos was left for 10 years without any sort of protection. And you've got to remember that, like, back then, you know, wars and barbarians coming and ransacking and stuff, that was something that did happen in cities. So, so they felt that they were unprotected for so long, and that they've suffered. So now at 460, so we've had, we're just coming off the chorus telling us about the War of Troy, and, you know, that they're worried about their men and the suffering that they've gone through. And now we're at the point, where the chorus is talking, near the page, talking about what will be the repercussions of this war, not just on the men of Argos, but also, like, I guess, like, what the gods will do in terms of, like, retribution, like whether there will be any kind of flack from the gods. Because remember, like, back then they believed that these gods, you know, like, they were able to kind of interfere on the lives of these of normal men. And that if they kind of got too cocky or they got too full of themselves, then, then that could lead to repercussions, that the gods would punish them. Anyway, all right, so let's get reading. So I'm from 460. And so the line I'm going for is the reach for power that can recoil. So they've just been talking, and we've had like a bit of foreshadowing on this page, on 120. There's quite a lot of talk about like foreshadowing what could come. And basically, we're finding out a lot about, I guess, the fear that these older men have, that perhaps these men of Argos are going to come back and be a bit too full of themselves, be a bit too like, oh, we defeated Troy, ha ha, we're so massive, yeah, look at our guns, like we're cool, that they're going to come back, and then the gods are going to kind of want to put them back in their place. So they're kind of like foreshadowing that maybe there would be some sort of comeuppance, which, because we know the ending, we know that for Agamemnon, he does get a bit of comeuppance. Actually, I might start from for around 455, where it's like, God takes aim. I might start there, okay? God takes aims at the ones who murder many. The swarthy furies stalk the man, gone rich beyond all rights. With a twist of fortune, grind him down and dissolve him into the blurring dead. There is no help. Okay, so that's kind of foreshadowing and saying like, God takes aim at the gods take aim at people who murder lots of people, which, being soldiers, that's kind of like what they've been doing for the last 10 years. And the Furies are like vengeful deities. They kind of look like really angry angels. And so they're saying, like, if you have done bad things, the gods send the Furies out to you, and the Furies, like, they ruin your life. And they're like the gods of vengeance. So they're saying, that they better be careful, because the Furies will come and try and like grind them down and dissolve them into the blurring dead where there's no help. Okay? The reach for power can recoil. A bolt of God can strike you down at a glance. And it's kind of trying to say as well, like, these men, they're going to come back and they better not be too cocky about the fact that they've won, because, they don't want to put themselves up too high, because no one is better than a god. And so if they do get too cocky, the gods are going to crush them. Okay? Make me rich with no man's envy. Neither a raider of cities know, nor a slave come face to face with a life overpowered by another. So they're like, don't get too cocky. The last thing you want to do is become like a person that other people envy, and then you'll find that you'll get your comeuppance. Now, it says here that I'm supposed to speak singingly. I'm not going to sing, for your own safety. Now they're talking about, the fact that these fires have been lit, and the watchmen have said that, the news have come, but they're still doubting it. The chorus still doubt. They say, fire comes and the news is good. It races through the streets, but is it true? Who knows? Or is it just another lie from heaven? Show us the man so childish, wonderstruck. He's fired up with the first torch. Then when the message shifts, he's sick at heart. So they're like, we don't want to get our hopes up. Fair, because they've been waiting for 10 years for this, so they don't want to get too excited. Just like a woman. Well, fine. Just like a woman, to fill with thanks before the truth is clear. So gullible. Their stories spread like wildfire. They fly fast and die faster. Rumours voiced by women come to nothing. So, there's a lot of sexist talk in here. That, women are stupid, that they fall for things and, spread rumours and, whatever. There's a lot of that kind of talk. You've got to remember that, obviously, this is a long time Okay, so don't take it too personally, but we will be examining the kind of language that's used about women. Okay, so I would underline those bits where it's like, just like a woman, so gullible, their stories spread like wildfire, rumours voiced by women come to nothing. That's worth underlining because we're going to talk about the sort of language that's used to talk about women in this text. Okay, so you're welcome. Then the leader steps out. Remember, there's like one guy who's like the leader of the chorus. So he steps out and he says, "Soon we'll know her fires for what they are, her relay race of torches hand to hand, know if they're real or just a dream. The hope of a morning here takes our senses." So they're still down in Clytemnestra and like saying like, maybe she just dreamed it, like, we'll know soon. I see a herald running from the beach. A herald is a guy that sends messages back and forth from places. Okay, so the herald's coming. Running from the beach, and a victor's spray of olive shades his eyes, and the dust he kicks twin to the mud of Troy. So he's coming from Troy. He shows that he has a voice, no kindling timber on the cliffs, no fire signal fires for him. He can shout the news and give us joy, or else, please not that. Bring it on, good fuel to build the first good fires. And if anyone calls down the worst on Argos, let him reap the rotten harvest of his mind. So that they see that the herald's coming and they're like, oh, please God, I hope he has good news. Because we haven't really trusted the fires because, like, you know, maybe Clytemnestra just dreamed of it. But this herald, we can see him, we'll believe him. And he better give us good news or else he can reap the rotten harvest. So the herald rushes in and kneels on the ground. So the herald is from Argos. And so he's like, after 10 years, he's finally home, right? And he's like, good Greek earth and the soil of my fathers. 10 years out and the morning brings me back. All hope snapped but one. I'm home at last. Never dreamed I'd die in Greece, assigned to the narrow plot I love best. He's like excited because he's home. It's been 10 years of dreaming about coming home and he's like, finally I know that I'm going to not die in horrible Troy. I'm going to die at home and like be buried in the soil that I love best. Okay? And now I salute the land and the light of the sun, our high Lord Zeus and King of Pythos. No more arrows, master, raining on our heads. At Scamander's banks we took our share. Your longbow brought us down like plague. Now come, deliver us, heal us, Lord Apollo. Gods of the market, here, take my salute. And you, my Hermes, escort, loving herald. Hermes is the god of heralds. The herald's shield and prayer, and the shining dead of the land who launches the armies, warm us home, where all the spear has left. So he's thanking all the gods that he's been able to come back to Argos and live in the land that he loves. So he's excited. You halls of the kings, you roofs I cherish. So he's like, everything. I love the roofs of the buildings, everything. I'm so glad I'm home. Sacred seats, you gods that catch the sun. If your glances ever shone on him in old days, greet him well. So many years are lost. He comes. He brings us light in the darkness, free for every comrade. Agamemnon, Lord of men. So the herald is really kind of thanking Agamemnon, his leader, for ensuring that they won and were able to come home. He's saying, you know, he brings us light in the darkness, free for every comrade. He's the Lord of men. And this was something that the chorus was just warning us about. Like, don't get too cocky. Don't put yourself at the same level as gods. Because when you do, you get smite by them. You get smited? Smitten? They put you down. So he continues. He's like he's pro-Agamemnon. Give him the royal welcome he deserves. He hoisted the pickaxe of Zeus, who brings revenge. He dug Troy down. He worked her soil down. The shrines of her gods and the high altars gone. As in, like, he knocked down all of their altars. He basically bulldozed the place. And the seed of her wide earth he ground to bits. That's the yoke he claps on Troy. So he's kind of trapped Troy. The king, the son of Atreus comes. The man is blessed, the one man alive to merit such awards. Neither Paris nor Troy, partners to the end, can say their work outweighs their wages now. Convicted of rapine, stripped of all his spoils and his father's house and the land that give it life, he scythed them to the roots. The sons of Priam pay the price twice over. So he's talking about how, like, Agamemnon really, he smashed Troy, and he smashed Paris, who's like a prince of Troy. And Priam is the king of Troy, and he's like, they smashed him. Then the leader steps out to talk to the herald, and he says, welcome home from the war's herald. Long live your joy. So he's excited because the herald's home. Our joy, says the herald. Now I could die gladly. Say the word, dear gods. So he's just like, mate, I can die happy now. We won the war and I'm home. That's all I wanted. The leader, longing for your country left you raw. So he's like, you really missed home? And the herald says, the tears fill my eyes for joy. The leader says, you too, down with the sweet disease that kills a man with kindness. The herald says, go on, I don't see he doesn't understand what he's talking about. The leader kind of is hinting that, like, that they too are really glad that the army is home because they've kind of been suffering without them. So he says, love for the ones who love you. That's what took you. And the herald says, you mean the land and the armies hungered for each other, as in, like, the army missed the land and the land missed us, which is true because we know that since the army's been gone, the city of Argos has suffered. And so the leader's kind of wanting to say that, but without, like, outright saying it. And the leader says, there were times that I thought that I would faint for longing, as in they missed them so much. The herald says, so anxious for the armies? Why? For years now, only my silence kept me free from harm. So he's kind of like, he feels like the leader feels like they've been persecuted and not being able to speak their mind because, like, they were afraid that something bad would happen to them. The herald says, what? The king's gone? What? With the king's gone, someone threatened you? So much. Now, as you say, it would be good to die. As in, they're so glad too that they're home. The herald says, true, we have done well. Think back in years, and what have you? A few runs of luck, a lot that's bad. But who but a god can go through life unmarked? A long, hard pull we had, if I would tell it all. The iron rations penned in the gangways, hopped by jowl like sheep. Whatever miseries break a man, our quota every sun-starved day. So he's talking about how hard the war was. The herald is talking about how hard the war was. That, you know, like that they had every misery that could break a man every day. And now he's kind of talking specifics. He said, then on the beaches it was worse, dug in under enemy ramparts, deadly going. Out of the sky, out of the marshy flats, the dews soaked us, turned the ruts that we fought from into gullies, made our gear, our scalps crawl with lice. Under the talk of the cold, the sleet to freeze the gulls, and the big snows came avalanching down from Ida. Oh, but the heat and the sea and the windless noons, the swells asleep dropped to calm. So he's describing this like horrible place. They've got freezing colds and boiling hots and snow and sleet and sun, and it was awful. And he says, but why weep now? It's over for us, over for them. The dead can rest and never rise again. No need to call their muster. We're alive. We do we have to go on raking up old wounds? Goodbye to all of that. Glad I am to say it. So he's like, you know what? It's done. It's over. I don't have to worry about it anymore. I don't want to think about it anymore. It was a horrible 10 years. We put it behind us. For us, the remains of the Greek contingents, the good wins out. No pain can tip the scales. Not now. So shout this boast to the bright sun. Fitting it is. Wing it over the seas and rolling earth. Once when an Argive expedition captured Troy, they hauled their spoils back to the gods of Greece. They bolted them high across the temple doors, and glory of the past. And hearing that, the men will applaud our city, and our chiefs, and Zeus will have a hero's share of the fame. He did the work. That's all I have to say. So he's like, you know what? Let the past be the past. Let's just be excited that Argos won. We won. Agamemnon won. Let's just celebrate that and, enjoy the spoils of war and move forward. And the leader says, I'm convinced, glad I was wrong. Never too old to learn. It keeps me young. And then Clytemnestra comes in with her women. So she has like a little posse. Like a queen always has a posse. That's how they roll. So she comes in, and the leader's still speaking, and says, first, the house and the queen. It's their affair, but I can taste the riches. So, he's saying, let's leave it to Clytemnestra now. She's going to celebrate. And she does. She really does. She sounds really excited that they're coming home. We know that that's kind of like, are you excited that Agamemnon's home, or are you excited because, you've been waiting 10 years to kill him? Ooh. So Clytemnestra says, I cried out long ago for joy when the first herald came burning through the night and told of the city's fall. And there were some who smiled and said, a few fires persuade you that Troy's in ashes. Women, elated over nothing. You made me seem deranged for all that I sacrificed. A woman's way, you'll say. Station to station on the walls, we cried of triumph that resounded the temples of the gods. We lulled and blessed the fires with myrrh, and they consumed our victims. So this is her going, I bloody told you. I told you they won, and now, because a guy's rocked up, you believe him, but I told you ages ago they won, but you didn't listen to me. We've been already celebrating, so welcome to the party. So she's annoyed. Fair. And then she turns to the herald, and she says, but enough. Why prolong the story? From the king himself I'll gather all I need, for now is the best way to welcome home my lord. My good lord. No time to lose. What dawn can feast a woman's eyes like this? I can see the light, the husband plucked from war by saving God, and open wide the gates. Tell him that, and have him come with speed. The people's darling, how they long for him. And for his wife may he return and find her true at hall, just as the day he left her, faithful to the last, a watchdog, gentle to him alone. She glances back towards the palace. Savage for those who cross his path. I have not changed. The strains of time could never break our seal. In love with a new lord, in ill repute I am, as practised as I am in dyeing bronze. That is my boast, teeming with the truth. I am proud, a woman of my nobility. I'd hurt I'd hurl it from the rooftops. So she's saying, like, you know, I've been waiting faithfully for my husband all of this time for him to come back, and, you know, that's my gift to him. She turns sharply and enters the palace, and the leader responds to her statement and says, "She speaks well, but it takes no seer to know that she only says what's right." So his statement there means, like, that, you know, she said what she should say, but, you know, it's not surprising. She only says what's right. Like, that's what she should say. She's only saying what she's supposed to. The herald attempts to leave, and then the leader takes him by the arm. So he kind of grabs the herald's arm and says, "Wait, one thing. Menelaus, is he home too, safe with the men? The power of the land, dear king." So Menelaus was the guy who, the brother of Agamemnon, their brothers, that both went across to Troy to capture Helen. But Menelaus was the husband of Helen. He was the one that came to Agamemnon and said, you know, "Get your armies, boy. We need to go get my wife." So yeah, but Menelaus doesn't get to come back. The herald says, "I doubt that lies will help my friends in the lean months to come." So he's kind of trying to avoid saying it. He's like, "Oh, I don't really want to mention it, but, like, it's not good." And the leader says, "Help us somehow. Tell the truth as well. But when it's too conflict, it's hard to hide. Out with it." He's like, "Hurry up and just tell me what happened." And the herald says, "He's lost. Gone from the fleets. He and his ship. It's true." It's not good. It's not good for him. Sounds like, you know, his ship sunk. The leader says, "After you watched him pull away from Troy, or did some storm attack you and tear him off the line?" The herald says, "There, like a marksman, the whole disaster cut to a word." As in, yeah, there was a storm. "How did the escorts give him out, dead or alive?" The herald says, "No clear report. No one knows. Only the wheeling sun that heats the earth to life." "But then the storm? Did it reach the ships? How did it end? Were the angry gods on hand?" The herald replies, "This blessed day, ruin it with them? Better to keep their trophies far apart. When a runner comes, his face in tears, saddled with what his city dreaded most, armies routed, 2 wounds in one to the city, one to the hearth and home, our best men, droves of them, victims herded from every house by the 2 barbed whip that Ares likes to crack. That charioteer who packs the destruction shaft by shaft, careering on with his brace of bloody mares. When he comes in, I tell you, dragging that much pain, wail your battle hymn to the Furies and high time. But when he brings his salvation home to a city, sing out her good heart. How could I mix such good with so much bad and blurt out this? The storms swept the Greeks, and not without the anger of the gods. Those enemies for ages, fire and water, sealed a pact and showed it to the world. They crushed our wretched squadrons. Night looming, breakers lunging in for the kill. The black gales come brawling out of the north, ships ramming prow to hooking prow, gored by the rush and buck of the hurricane, pounding rain by the cloudburst, ships stampeding into the darkness, lashed and spun with savage shepherd's hand. But when the sun comes up, to the lighted sky, to light the skies, I see the Aegean heaving into a great bloom of corpses. Greeks, the pick of generations, scattered through the wrecks and broken spars. But not us, not our ship, our hull untouched. Someone stole us away or begged us off. No mortal, a god, death gripped on the tiller, or Lady Luck herself, perched on the helm. She pulled us through. She saved us. Aye, we'll never battle a heavy surf at anchor, never shipwreck on some rocky coast. But once we cleared that sea hell, not even the trusting luck of the cold light of day, we battened on our troubles. They were fresh, the armadas punished, bludgeoned into nothing. And now if one of them still has breath, he's saying we are lost. Why not? We say the same of him. Well, here's to the best. And Menelaus, look to it. He's come back, and yet, if a shaft of the sun can track him down alive, and his eyes full of old fire, thanks to the strategies of Zeus would never tear the house out by the roots, then there's hope our man will make it home. You've heard it all. Now you have the truth. So what's happened is that, after the war at Troy, they get in the ships, they're sailing back, and then you have these storms that sweep the Greeks, and not without the anger of the gods. So they think that the gods have actually caused this huge storm that captures these Greeks in their boats, and some of the boats capsize and are thrown around, and it's this horrific storm in the Aegean, in the sea, and they're thrashed around, and the boats are crushed, and then when the storm passes, the guys in the other boats look onto these boats that did get caught in the storm, and they're just destroyed, and then there's just all of these floating bodies in the water. And Menelaus is among the bodies. And so the herald didn't want to tell that story because he's like, I don't want to taint the victory and Agamemnon coming home with the idea of the death of all of these men. But, you're pushing me into it, so I'll tell you. So once he said that, he says, you've heard it all now. You know all the story. Now you have the truth. And he rushes out and leaves. So I'm going to leave it there. Now I want you to go to class tasks, and there's a couple of questions to answer, and that'll be it. Have a gorgeous day. Enjoy your lives, and I'll see you soon. Okay, bye.